The next Lego bit that we're going to make is the large bush. And this is a fairly simple model, so let's start a new part and let's start a sketch on the top plane. First, I'm going to get the circle tool, draw a circle at the origin and make that 5.7 millimeters diameter. Then let's do a mid-plane extrude and extrude this 5.1. So this is going to be the center of the bush. And we'll call that feature middle body. Then I'm going to add those wider rims on each end. So I'm going to start a sketch on either end face, get the circle tool and draw a circle that's coincident to that circle we've just made. The diameter of this is a little bit wider, so it's 7.4 millimeters. And then let's do a blind extrude, just in one direction going outwards, that's 1.4 millimeters thick. And then I'm going to call that outer rim, and we need one on the other side as well, so we can mirror this. So I'm going to select the outer rim feature. I'm going to select the plane that goes down the middle of the model. So that's the top plane, and then I'm going to press mirror. You could also make this whole section with a revolved boss base feature if you prefer. So that's the general overall shape. What we're going to do now is cut out the cross through the middle. So I'm going to start a sketch on the top plane. You could also start on one of the end faces. And we're going to draw the axle shape that we've done quite a few times now. So get the circle tool, draw a circle at the origin, make that 4.8 millimeters diameter, and then get the center rectangle tool and draw two center rectangles, make them both the same width, which is 1.8 millimeters, and then set the length of them by attaching them to the end of that circle using tangent relations. And when you've got that profile, we can do an extruded cut through all both. So remember, we need to select all 5 of those areas in the axle shape. So on the preview, we're cutting through like that. And then let's call that feature axle cut. Next up, we'll cut the slot that goes through the middle. So we can either start on the front plane or the right plane. Let's start a sketch there. Get a center point slot tool. I'm going to start at the origin, go up like this. And then for the size, it's 1 millimeter thick. And the length of it is 4.8. So I'm going to dimension to each end by holding down shift so we can dimension to that arc. And it should look something like that. You can then do an extruded cut through or both. This just gives a bit of flexibility to the bush to allow you to fit the axle part in properly. And let's call that feature slot cut. And then the final thing we're going to do is just cut away that scalloped circular cut at the top. Only one end of the bush has these cuts. So I'm going to start a sketch on one of the end faces, either one, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go normal 2. And these cuts are a little bit tricky to measure in real life, but I measured the shortest distance between the cuts. So first, let's draw a circle at the origin. And the size of that is 6.4, and that represents the shortest distance between those circular cuts. We've then got some smaller circular sections that we need to cut out from the outer rim. So firstly, we're going to use a center line to draw exactly where we want these cuts. Select a center line by using the drop down on the line tool. Start it from the origin and let's go up and right at about 45 degrees. And then get smart dimension and let's just add a dimension here to make this line 45 degrees. We'll then get the circle tool and we'll draw a circle at the end of that center line, somewhere around here. We can make it any size, something roughly like this. And then what we'll do is select that circle, hold down Control, and also select that first larger circle that we just drew. And then make those two circles tangent. That means the two circles are exactly touching. And we're going to cut away this overlapping area here. First though, we need to figure out how large this outer circle needs to be. And to do that, I measured the cut across the outside, between here and here on the real model. And that should be 2.3 millimeters. So I'm going to get the point tool, and I'm going to add a point on that circle, which is also coincident with that main outer circle. So we want to add these points where the sketch circle crosses the main outer circle. You should just be able to hover over the intersection and add the point directly. And you'll see these two relation symbols. That indicates we're at the intersection of those two circles. But if you're having trouble, you can just add the point to one of the circles. Say for example here. So now that point is fixed to that sketch circle. We can move it anywhere around the circle, but we can't move it off the circle. Then let's select that point, hold down Control, and also select that main outer circle. We can then add another coincident relation. So this point is now coincident with both circles. So the only position it can be is where those two circles cross. So now we just need to set a distance between those 2 points, and that is 2.3 millimeters. Get the Smart Dimension tool and just add that distance. Make sure you get the diagonal distance. You might just have to move your mouse around a little bit before you place the dimension. And then your sketch should be fully defined, something like this. So we're just going to cut away that little semicircular section. And we're going to do the same 4 times around. So to add the remaining 3 circles, we can use a circular sketch pattern. First, I'm going to select that smaller circle we drew, and then I'm going to go to the sketch tab, and I'm going to choose circular sketch pattern. This is underneath a linear sketch pattern, so you'll have to click the drop down there. Now, hopefully you'll get a preview like this where everything looks correct already. But if yours looks different, just make sure you have these settings. We want a pattern 4 instances. It should be equal spacing, 360 degrees, and then the center point of the pattern is the center of the main circular body, so that should be lined up with the origin. If yours looks different, then click in this top box and press clear selections, and then just choose the origin or the center point of that large circle. Then press OK, and that circle is patterned around, so we've got 4 of them. Now if you find that your pattern isn't fully defined like this, you can just drag it around and then add in some more relations. So firstly, I'm going to drag that center point of the pattern back to the origin. If you find that you're still not fully defined, you can try adding a tangent relation between one of the small circles and that large center circle. And you might just need to add one more as well, like this. And that should fully define your sketch. Now we're going to cut away those small circles. So I'm going to go to Features, Extruded Cut. For the selected contours, I'm going to choose that overlapping circular area. So you can just click on the area, or you can click on the entire circle and that will select the entire entity. Then let's cut downwards just through that top rim. So I'm just going to cut down 1.4, which is the thickness of that top rim. So the top should be sort of scalloped like that, and I'm going to call that scallop cut. This part's now finished, so you can save it. I'm going to call mine Large Bush 30465. In the next video, we'll make the first gear that actually drives the helicopter's rotors.